make the change. The change was from film to videotape. And it proved itself right. Because, I forget what the baseball player's name was, but he used to say, baseball has been very good to me. Well, videotape has been very good to me. We were able to do projects in less time, maintain a quality that we thought was as good, if not better, than some of our film projects. And it was really the better way to work. I think it was better not only for the production company, but for my clients. I showed them what could be done and how fast we could do it and how it could create savings for them. That's when I was doing the Burdines commercials retail, which for 5 years I did their spots plus their sister company in California, the May Company. So everything was done my decision, film or tape. Sometimes I thought film was the right media, but not always. Overall, I think tape ended up being the perfect material to do commercials and longer films. And from way back, I believed that it would be the way they would be making feature films and distributing through theaters. I saw that you could put information on a little piece of 1/4-inch tape, play back quality music, and I always wondered, why do they need 1-inch videotape to get the same information? Why did we have to lug the big original video equipment, which was comparable then to 35mm cameras, when we could do it with a basic, we went down to 1-inch, then we went down to 1/2 inch, and actually what are we shooting in now? DV tape, which is pretty much like a tape cassette. You can't get much smaller and maintain any type of quality. We're able to get so much information because of the electronics on a small piece of tape. I don't see there's any other way to go. When you reflect back on personalities that you've worked with, first thing that comes to mind, or the first name that comes to mind, is Bill Wyler. I worked with Bill when he was primarily a radio announcer, working along with guys like Jim Harper, Rick Shaw. He was one of that original group that you were familiar with in radio. Bill came over to television. I think he had a dance show. He was doing very much a teenage dance program. And he was very successful. We were looking for a personality for a orange juice commercial. That was Orange Nip, I think was the name, out of the Orlando area. We cast and we found Bill to be the guy to do the job. He had an excellent presence about himself. You wanted to listen to what he had to say. I don't know if that's where and when I met him at that casting or if it was prior. Bill drove a beautiful 190 Mercedes-Benz in the Gullwing series, and you always want to be friendly with a guy like that. You know he was successful, and that works. Was Bill Wyler a temperamental talent? I don't know of any talent that isn't temperamental. That's one of their responsibilities, to make sure that whatever they do looks good, that they do it better than it might be expected. Bill Wyler was the most pleasant, congenial individual you'd ever want to meet or know. And to work with him was a pleasure, because he never was concerned about doing take number 2, 3, or even if he got up to 10 and 15. Because it wasn't always necessarily his fault that there had to be additional takes. But he understood there was a reason for take number 14, and he lived with it. The only time I think he might have ever got angry with me, and I would be angry also, is we were doing these commercials up in Orlando in the orange groves. And I had done a little research, and some people that worked in the groves informed me, take a lot of light. Those green trees, those orange trees, eat up tons of light. You'll never have enough. Those leaves will just look pure black. So I took some shiny reflectors, and we went up there and we pounded those reflectors into those trees. You could read every little vein in the green leaf. Only thing is, I put Bill back in the tree so he could be reaching forward for an orange. Well, we couldn't cut the reflector so it didn't hit his eyes. Well, he was a real scout. He did the piece umpteen different times because his eyes started to water. And then we couldn't figure out what was wrong. And he let me know what was wrong. Those reflectors were burning a hole in his head. So we kind of shaded the reflectors a little bit, and it all worked out. And I don't think Bill will ever forget or forgive me for that day in the Grove. Throw me a name and I'll give you an answer. Charlie Allen, that's a name I'll never forget. Charlie was Grant Kravitz's nephew. What did that mean? Not a lot. But we had to admire Charlie because he dedicated himself to doing a good job for his uncle, Grant Kravitz. And Grant's company, Teller Interest in its own, has made a name for itself that even Charlie Allen can be proud of being associated with. Charlie's company, Cinema East, has been colossal in their climb, in their effort, in their success. Charlie became a professional working with professionals. Errol Falcon, handsome Latin, who came to this country not via the Mariel boat lift, but he came on as a first-class producer-director. I don't know how he arrived on the scene, but you heard the name Errol Falcon associated with nice projects. I think he really was one of the first people to work into the Latin market, in that he was bilingual, which a number of us failed in taking the advantage of being able to speak Spanish. Earl was bilingual. He could handle any situation, and I'm sure that the clients he worked with really appreciated knowing there was somebody that knew more than cafe con leche. Bill Greffet is a name that it's historic. It's historic because he is one of the few people that I know ever really finished a full-length motion picture film here in Miami. That's kind of an unbelievable success story, because I know a lot of people that started out, they had neither money or talent. Bill was able to bring together the monies that were necessary and his talent to make a feature film. One thing I really remember about Bill is he hired me to work on a film called Racing Fever in Sebring, Florida. It was my first job working on a feature, and all I remember is Bill handed me a 1,000-foot Airflex magazine and a 1,000-foot roll of film. Try loading that on the hood of a car in 105 degrees, having never done it before. That was a real test. I stuck with that. I was soaking wet, and I think the film had already been pre-developed by the moisture on my hands. That was a hot, trying day. But working for Bill Greffet was an experience well worth the time and effort. Bill Randall is a name that I'm really not closely associated with, although as much as I ever heard about Bill was all good. Bill was what I call the north end of the market. I think he was primarily in Broward County. But he built a very good reputation, because when you only hear good things about somebody, you know they're the kind of people you want to work with and be part of your industry. You know, Earl Wainwright, the name alone would be a good punchline for a joke. You wouldn't have to say any more than Earl Wainwright. He also had a nickname, Flannel Mouth. Now, if you kind of associate those two things, you know, here's a guy that never stopped talking and just went on and on and on, like words going into the breeze. But what kind of person was he? He'd kill himself for you. When Earl worked on a job, he was so used to working hard, making no money, he was the perfect guy to work with me. Earl was a dedicated individual, still is, but when I say flannel mouth, he would jump into projects without thinking. He would be talking, but not thinking. One thing he did, I remember we went out also on a major picture, and they said, Earl, here, take the boat, run out to that sign that's got a big glare on it, and spray it with some dulling spray. DP wants that taken care of right away. Earl runs, because he was a runner. He never hesitated. He grabbed the can, he ran out, and he sprayed the sign. Only thing is, he didn't realize he had sprayed it with black paint. Why is Bruce Solomon on the list? Both he and I both wonder why. I know he and I have been good friends for a number of years. I can't give you a number because I know I'm older than he is. By how much I don't know. I do believe that I have children almost his age. So I know I've known Bruce quite a while. I found him more than a friend. He's both these arms, he's these legs, he's this brain. I don't think I could get along without him. And as I age, I find out more so every day that he is the guy that keeps me moving. He makes me laugh. I have a good time. He likes to eat. I do too. I think we have so many things in common that it makes life's everyday living worthwhile.